So yeah, he could just harass the enemy back constantly and allow his AD carry to farm up. So I would not be surprised if we saw Shen going bot as a support. Ability power reduced or increased, sorry, on Feint, which was his shield. Shadow Dash, taunt duration just increased it earlier levels. Why was it like this? Honestly, like 0.8 to 1.1 to 1.4. Now it's increasing by a quarter of a second each rank until it gets up to 2 seconds. That's good. And Stand United, his ultimate ability power increase. That means that it won't fall off late game if you start building some ability power, and energy cost reduced to 0. That's good. That means you will always be able to use his ultimate when it's up. Singed attack damage and fleeing ranged increased by 25. Just nice little, I guess, I mean it's a buff, but again, not going to be too noticeable. But for Singed players, just showing a little love there. Just like Olaf and Nunu, also their range was increased by 25. Or was that Olaf and Nunu? I know it was Nunu and Nunu. Okay, and then we have Sion. His mana was increased. His mana used to be like nothing. You'd run out of it in 2 Qs. Mana per level increased, so he's going to have a slightly larger mana pool now, which is nice. His attack speed here is increased. His movement speed is increased, and he now gains magic resist per level. This is aimed at making attack damage Sion build more viable, which is very good in my opinion, because I'd like to see Sion built multiple ways. This is a whole string of buffs here. Together will make him more viable, and I think that you may even see AD Sions popping up every now and then. I will post a link in the description to an AD Sion guide, because I do think that AD Sion is viable. He just takes a while to get going. He needs a lot of farm. He needs to get his items. He's very item dependent, but he does have a built-in attack damage steroid, a built-in attack speed steroid, and he heals 100% of the damage that he deals. He has 100% lifesteal through his ultimate, and he has a 1.5 second stun that's ranged. So if you get like Yomu's Ghostblade, you'll have another movement speed buff, and you will just be able to stick to your target, dealing tons of damage because of your critical strikes. Like Yomu's and Phantom Dancer, you'll be moving very fast, dealing lots of damage with all your attack damage because you have built-in attack damage buff, and with your attack speed from Yomu's and Phantom Dancer and his ultimate. So I think AD Sion is viable now. Obviously we'll have to see. Fix the bug. We'll fix the bug. Yes, the end. Fix the bug. Alright, Skarner getting buffed on Crystal Slash, which is his little AoE damage thing. 5 more physical damage and 4 more magic damage. Alright. And missile speed on his Fracture increased. Okay. Yeah, slight buffs there. He's still not viable in my mind. As a jungler, he can clear the jungle relatively fast, but he will be low mana throughout it all. Like even with the blue buff, he just uses his abilities so much that blue buff isn't enough to sustain his mana. If you want to do a full rotation through the jungle, even with blue buff, you will find yourself running out of mana at times. So just not a viable character at the moment. They need to reduce his mana cost on this. They need to either reduce the cooldown or increase the damage even more than this. And oftentimes when Skarner jungles, he'll either be forced to choose either to jungle or to gank more so than anyone else, because his ganking capabilities aren't the best, and he loses out on a lot of jungle farm and experience when he goes to gank. And when he does jungle, he is left a bit too low to gank, so it's either one or the other. Can't really do both like the rest of the junglers. So increase his heal on his Fracture. I think it's Fracture that heals him. One of his abilities heals him. I haven't played him anyway. So increase the heal and increase the damage on Crystal Slash, and I think he will. I think he'll be viable after that. Not good, but viable nonetheless. All right, so Sona buffed her heal at earlier levels. That's good. Not much to say. I think this is more significant than people might think because of her recent nerf. In a way, like they nerfed the heal, but increased the aura that it gave. Now they kind of buffed the heal, so she has like a net gain over the past couple buff patches. So I think she's a very good support character. Now Taric, what should I say here? They're basically just changing his roll up a bit. They increased the cast range on Imbune, which was his Q, his heal. And then Shatter, now they increased the range of the aura on it, so um, I think what they want is for Tark to be more of a frontline support, like up there with the tanky DPS and tanks, because he'll still be able to heal the supports and squishes in the back, and he'll still be able to give them their armor. But because his cooldown is reduced on Shatter, they, and by they I mean Riot, want Tark to be up in the front lines, like constantly shattering and reducing the enemy's armor. And he now loses the passive armor bonus upon activation instead of losing the armor aura. So that, I'm guessing, means that he retains the aura, just loses the bonus. But maybe not. So damage reduced on his Shatter pretty significantly by 40 at lower levels, and by 60 less at higher levels, and lower the ability power on it. So it's really just used now as a way to increase armor for your team, and then very quickly, every 10 seconds, reduce the armor of the enemy team. If you use this at the right time, you could really increase the amount of damage that the enemy team takes in a team fight. So overall, I'd say that Tark, he got buffed with his range here, but his Shatter, I'd say it's actually been nerfed just because the damage was nerfed so much, and because he loses the passive armor bonus. So on his stun, it's now always a 1.5 second stun, and it used to be a longer stun if he was farther away, and a shorter stun if he was closer to the target, which I guess is good. They're kind of like making that position thing less on him again, which is why I'm thinking that they want him to be more of a frontline. Like before, when you use Dazzle, you'd want to be far away from your target, so it would stun them for 2 seconds and deal maximum damage to them, lots of damage. But now, your stun will always stun them for 1.5 seconds, even if you're up in their face, and the minimum damage has been increased and the maximum damage reduced, so the variance in damage has been reduced a lot. Even if you're up in their face, you're still going to do decent damage. So missile speed increased. That's good. Cast range reduced. Again, they want Tark to be more of a frontline support than someone that stands in the back and heals the squishies. So his ultimate now deals damage to nearby enemies. Again, nearby enemies. This is the last time I'm going to say this, but Tark is now meant to be played alongside the tanks and tanky DPS in the front lines, or on the front lines. And for the next 10 seconds, he gains attack damage and ability power, and nearby allies get half the bonus. Not too long of a cooldown either. Should be able to use it like in every fight that he's in. Vladimir, his Q now counts as a single target ability for items like Riley's Crystal Scepter. Why it never counted as a single target ability before, I don't know, because it is a single target ability. But it was spammable, I guess, so maybe they didn't want that. But now it has a 4-second cooldown at max rank instead of a 3 seconds, so maybe they're changing that back. There are some good general changes here. All tenacity items now give 35 tenacity, meaning 35% reduced duration in CC, crowd control effects, like stun, silences, snares, roots, all that stuff. So that's good. That's actually really good. It's buffing all these items now, and in a way reducing merc treads, because on lots of champions, lots of melee champions especially, you would get Mercury's treads just because it gave 35 tenacity, as opposed to these other ones that only gave 25. And now that they all give 35, other boots might be a better choice on quite a few champions. You could use multiple health or mana potions. They will queue up, so you could press it twice, and as soon as the first one runs out, it'll automatically use the second. I would never recommend doing that, but maybe if you're low on health and you know that you're going to be staying in lane for the next 40 seconds, I guess you could just do that if you're forgetful. Smart casting items. You have to manually bind the hotkeys, which is kind of a pain, but basically items will now no longer be affected by lag, I guess is the best way to explain smart casting. I don't know. I smart cast my items. I recommend that you do it. Or I don't smart cast my items. I smart cast my abilities, and will now be smart casting my items. A good example of this would be like Annie, her AoE. Oftentimes I would like be at the very edge of the AoE, and she'd use it on me, and I'd be like, no, wait, I was totally out of that. She didn't stun me, but I got stunned, and that's because she was smart casting it. And it means like when you click it, if the enemy is in the AoE, they're going to get hit by the AoE even if they move out of it before the animation hits it. So it's kind of like it was implemented to help characters or people that had lag, but now it's kind of abused by all high ELO players, and I recommend that you smart cast all of your items now too, instead of just your abilities. Clones correctly show their stats and have a minimap icon if they're meant to deceive, such as Shaco's clone, not Mordekaiser's clone, or York's clone. Yeah, that's not meant to deceive. This is really good here. Creep camp minimap icons are now more consistent, and clairvoyance and wards will properly update the map icons. This means if the enemy team takes dragon and you clairvoyance dragon, it will now update the little icon on the map. Before it wouldn't do that. It would show on the map the dragon was still there, even though it obviously wasn't. Not much else to say here. Consumable items will be removed from recommended items. I do not know many champions who have consumables in their recommended items. Yeah, and traps now, like Teemo Caitlyn Nidalee, will have the area that they will trigger shown when you cast them, like Jarvan's ultimate will now also, which is a very good thing. I think that's a very nice fix that they did, and a whole bunch of bugs that they fixed, including this one here. You used to be able to smite Baron from behind his den, which didn't make much sense because it was like over a wall. So you I mean, think about it. If you were that champion, you wouldn't actually be able to see Baron over a wall. So I don't know. That's something to keep in mind, though. I guarantee that there are going to be people that did not read this, and they will try to smite Steel Baron from behind, and they will not be able to. Alright, so that's all that I'm going to go over with this patch. Again, once we have more details on Riven, which will be tomorrow, we will be able to know more. And also, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I saw something that was leaked out saying Dominion will indeed be coming with the next patch. So in 3 weeks, Riot is now on a 3-week patch cycle, as they have said on the forums. If you were watching or on the forums or anything like that, you know that they are now on a 3-week buff cycle or patch cycle. Why do I call it a buff cycle? I guess it's a buff cycle. It's also a nerf cycle. But alright, they're now on a 3-week patch cycle, and Dominion is supposedly coming out next patch. A Riot employee said that, and in like a support, like a ticket was sent, and the Riot support responded back saying that Dominion is coming out with the next patch. So not sure if it's true or not, not sure if it's fake or not, but it makes sense. I do believe that Dominion will be coming out next patch, so it gives us all something to look forward to. And that's all that I'm going to do now. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and leave your comments. Subscribe if you want to stay up to date with the videos. And yeah, thank you very much for watching.